since you were so kind and not picking my guy Ray Allen first last time, I'm not going to pick your guy first, and I'm going to let you get him.
Who do you
Yeah.
think my guy that I want first is? Because I might surprise you.
Oh, it's not Luka.
These two brown guys love basketball. Brown guys love basketball. Who doesn't love basketball? So let's talk basketball. I said, let's talk basketball.
Hey there, everyone. My name is Justin,
I'm Sachin Sahil.
and welcome back to the Brown Guys Basketball Podcast. It has been a minute, my friend.
Where were you, Justin?
I was in Japan. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I was in a beautiful, wonderful country that I would highly recommend to everyone. I'm not a big seafood guy. I'm not sure. Are you into seafood?
I love seafood. I'm in Vancouver. We have to.
Oh, yeah, 100%. I used to live there, and that was a struggle. But
Yeah.
other than the seafood, I can't tell you enough good things about this place. Like, it's just, I saw a guy at a Starbucks leave his laptop and just go. I don't know where he went, but he left it just open, and he was like, "This is my workstation," and nothing. Like, part of me was like, "Should I take it? Like, is that the right thing to do?" But I just,
it's the little things like that, though. Little things that you notice where you can just like leave things. You trust people.
I loved it though. It was just so everyone was just minding their own business, and I mean it's masked, so not that I'm anti-mask, but just getting used to not doing it. It's hard to kind of go back to that culture,
Totally.
but especially going to like outdoor Disneyland where you're outside and everyone is wearing a mask and it's the rules. You're like you got to kind of adhere to that. But
Of course.
yeah, it was
Cool.
awesome. I recommend Japan to anyone, but that's not what we're here to talk about today. We're here to catch up on some things. I missed a lot of basketball. I was watching highlights at like 2 a.m. watching
The whole
games.
league is different, Justin.
I know
10
everything's.
days.
What happened to Utah? But your beautiful Utah,
Man, my poor Utah.
your Jazz, they're
God.
crumbling before our eyes.
You know what? They'll come back. They'll come back, or we'll get some Wemby. It'll be either or.
Yeah.
I don't know why I'm like a Jazz guy now. People are messaging me like
you are
the Jazz.
married to the Jazz.
All I said was Colin Sexton would be better.
Hey, I have a question for you. Would 1996 Sachin like this version of Sachin, this huge Utah Jazz fan, or how would he feel?
That's a good question. You know what? He'd be happy that he's still against the norm in most things.
Yeah, there you go.
He's still driving people crazy with his ideas. So that's probably, he'd be like, you know what? I get him. He's probably just trying to be counterculture.
Well, because you have the Jazz, I call dibs on the Kings. That's my ride or die this year because they are so fun to watch.
We are just gonna get yelled at on this podcast.
Light the beam, baby.
Light the beam. What is the Jazz's motto? Keep it funky. I don't know.
No drinks after 8. I don't know. It's like a Utah thing.
No. Utah Jazz. No drinks after 8. Oh my God!
Like,
if that's
get
not
home
motto,
safely. Like,
love thy neighbor. Oh my God! That is
all
good.
right, so it's been 10 days, and I've gone. I think it's been 10 or 11 days, whatever it is. But I've gone way more days in a row than I can stand not talking about LeBron or the Lakers. So I figured we should probably start there because it's almost uninteresting to talk about them when they're winning games. You know what I mean? Like they're not as big of a tire fire as when I left.
Oh, not me. I like talking about him now. I don't know. My life has entirely changed now that I'm like carrying Russell Westbrook's torch on my back. I'll talk about him every week on this podcast. I'm going to mention his name because ever since he started coming out the bench and playing like I said he can play, his plus minus is amazing. The team is fired up. He's winning. He's hitting 2 half-court shots, buzzer beaters.
What was
in a
that
game.
about? Where did that come from?
This is what I was talking about. He just has to be on fire. He has to feel alive. And then the shots will start falling. The way he plays it'll all come alive. And it's not that he's a bad shooter. It's he has to be so fired up and motivated. And if he doesn't feel like he's appreciated and respected for how great he is, he's like, God, why am I busting my ass out here for? And then all he just needs is something to turn that on. And then you just see this beast happen, who is just like a basketball savant because of the way he plays, because of the aggression and the way he plays basketball. It's not even about like any specific skill. It's almost like a small Giannis, you know. Yeah. He just goes out there and just bam, pummels you.
The energy, all of that, like Westbrook like the positives of Westbrook, as much as I rag on him, the positives are when the tryhard is successful, it is infectious, right? Like the team gets behind that kind of tryhard. And so I agree with you that it's looked a lot better.
LeBron
getting
sat,
LeBron
dude.
back.
LeBron was sitting and they were winning.
Yeah, I mean, he's looked good. He had when he rolled his ankle a bit in the Pacers game, he started to just kind of jack up shots and it wasn't going. But last night against the Blazers, he was looking good. And fun fact, Before you go, I gotta hit you with my next favorite player in the NBA. Pray to God he makes it. Yesterday, LeBron James and Bronny both hit 6 threes in their respective games. So
Wow, very
apple
nice.
doesn't the apple doesn't fall very far from the tree, if you know
See,
what I
like
mean.
I like Bronny, but I'm telling you, I've been saying since I sent you this message when he was 13, I
Yeah,
think
you've been
Bryce is going to be better.
Yeah, I'm actually going with Zuri for the WNBA. I'm trying to
Oh,
get
100%.
really ahead of it. Like,
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah, because I know you like Lola Bunny, so
yeah,
you're just
big Lola
golden.
guy, big
Yeah.
Lola guy.
But LeBron, since he came back, and you're gonna hate me for saying this, do you think he's changed the way he's played basketball at all?
In what way? Like less holding onto the ball?
100%. Do you think
Yeah, a
now
little
since
more
he
ball
came back,
movement. I think
it
that has
feels like a
something to
lot
do
more
with
ball
Schroeder
movement?
too, though. I do think that has to do with Dennis Schroeder coming into the lineup because he's playing significant minutes, and I think when someone comes off a major injury, you want to get the ball in their hands early. Because LeBron has always done this in his career. He knows that he needs his teammates to win. So whenever he gets a chance, especially against lower teams, to like get these guys involved early. I don't know if you remember the Kevin Love thing in Cleveland. Always the first quarter was like it's Kevin Love time. You know what I mean? Like he would take 8-9 shots in the first, and then it would kind of switch over towards the second half where LeBron and Kyrie would cook. I think not that Schroeder's on that level, but I think he kind of gets that like if they're gonna go somewhere, it's not gonna be on his back. It's gonna be with him being the driver, but not the you know what I mean?
No question.
So
I think LeBron in a facilitator role, but a one that where he's kind of moving around the ball and he's kind of dictating the pace of the offense, maybe from an off the ball situation, the way I've seen him do in the last couple of games. And Schroeder's a good player. Him coming back is a huge boon for that team. But the way I've watched him play since he came back, I'm like, oh, if you play like this is dangerous. Because I've been wanting every time he does this in years, there are years where he chooses to do this for a part time of the year. I'm like, look, your team is going on this huge run. And then when they go on that run, he then changes to be like, okay, now it's my time. And then they start losing again.
I like fourth quarter LeBron. I think fourth quarter LeBron, I'm fine with him making the decisions because that's the time of the game where everyone tightens up. So less shots are made, but it's just, he is not uncomfortable giving the ball up with 2 minutes, which I think a lot of superstars tend to be uncomfortable. That's what makes Jokic so fun to watch. That's what makes guys like Luka when he's passing. And I agree with you. Sometimes the detriment to the Mavs, but it's so hard for me to like agree with it because the supporting cast is so weak. Is Luka holding on to the ball, which is why I think we both agree we would love to see Luka with another star. Doesn't need to be a superstar, but I just want to see what Luka looks like with someone else who can have the ball in their hands.
Yeah, but I just think with a lot of these teams in the NBA, I think there's so much talent that early on in the season, it's about when you look at these untalented players, I think it's about finding the ones that are talented on your team because then notoriously a lot of talents are, and you just have to give them the confidence to be that great.
I think they actually had that guy though, and they gave him up or couldn't re-sign him, which was Brunson. I think that might come back to really haunt them because Brunson is awesome, very good.
Yeah. But did you like that? When New York signed him, everybody was so on it.
I didn't like. I'll be honest. If I'm going to be honest, I didn't like it because I thought it's just New York doing New York things. Not that Brunson's a bad player, but it's kind of spinning the wheels in a way. It's not getting you from like here to here. It's just adding a good player. But not that New York's been great, but man, Brunson is actually just excellent. Like I really enjoy watching him play.
He was so good because do you watch the Mavs last year? I was like, this guy can ball.
That was my third. Once the Lakers season kind of turned to the sour apples, I started watching a lot of Mavs games because I love watching Luka. And yeah, I really. But it was so hard to tell, right? Like, tell me if you disagree with this. Brunson on the Mavs versus Brunson on the Knicks. The level of expectation and competition he'd be dealing with. The worry was there, right? Like he might not be able to elevate for that many minutes as the lead ball handler because the expectation in Dallas is a lot less.
But you know what's great about New York is that if it didn't succeed the way that they kind of wanted to, the thing is when you go to a team that has a lot of talent already, a lot of your holes will get covered because other people will be doing a job that you don't need to do. He's a smaller guard, he's doing all this stuff, but you have Julius Randle, you have RJ Barrett, you have guys that actually can play on the team. You have Derrick Rose, right? You have guys that can come and play. So you don't actually have to immediately make a huge force. You can find your place and then start playing your ball. It's tough when you are like when James Harden got traded initially. That's when there were a lot of questions when he got traded from OKC the first time.
Yeah.
They're like, okay, is he going to be the man in this team that has nothing?
So, and that's where I think Brunson has really thrived. And I guess my worry was, I always use the same example, is Lou Williams starting versus Lou Williams off the bench are two drastically different players. You know what I mean? And we've seen it. Lou Williams started some games in Toronto and he could cook, but like him off the bench is such a different animal. It's like Jamal Crawford later in his career too, hey? Like those guys off the bench are so scary.
They're built for it. Honestly, like Russell right now, like they're built to be able to give me the ball, let me do this thing
against
because
these
on a
next
team
level
sometimes,
guys. Yeah, I
yeah,
agree.
yeah, yeah, and
So
they're necessary,
I think the Lakers have a interesting kind of month coming up because their December schedule is not easy. Just to run some games. So tomorrow they're playing against the Bucks. They have the Cavs in December. They have the Sixers, the Raptors, the Celtics, the Nuggets, the Suns, the Kings, which I never thought I would say is not an easy game, but yeah, the Mavs. And so it's a gauntlet of really good teams in December, which
Man.
could kind of mitigate all of this growth that we've seen. I hope not. But the elephant in the room we're not talking about is AD has been outrageously good the last month. He has been so good. So we can talk about all the peripherals, and obviously LeBron is LeBron. Westbrook off the bench, great. But without AD playing like this team is nothing to talk about.
Agreed. It doesn't happen. It does. He is their team. Whatever happens, I think other players can get injured and take out whatever. If AD falls out, they're in trouble. Like that's when he slips on some water.
Yeah, if he falls, they're in trouble.
Like, he slipped on some water, and the entire league took a breath.
Yeah, it's so funny. The Lakers, when you're watching their games, when AD falls, it's like you can hear a pin drop in the stadium at I was gonna say Staples, Crypto, whatever. I don't know what it's gonna be named in a week, but
yes.
Yeah, you lose a heartbeat because you're so scared for him.
It's because you know what? It's happened. It's not like this is that thing has happened repeatedly to a point where you're like, oh no, it could be anything. Some bird can fly in.
My favorite one is when he lunged for a rebound, and then I was like, you don't think anything of it, and all of a sudden he's grabbing his calf, and you're like, oh god, this is him. His like existing hurts him.
Yeah, yeah. Like I worry about him when he's not playing basketball, like when he's cleaning. You know what I mean? When he's mopping his floor, I get stressed. I'm like, he's gonna pull his shoulder muscle.
He's like, I was just putting my suitcase up, and then all of a sudden my back,
yeah,
and
just popped. Yeah.
So we're gonna.
He should have been using a Swiffer sweeper.
We're going to be looking at Lakers watch all season long, but it does bring me into the next topic I wanted to talk about, which is quite interesting because I don't think either of us, we didn't talk about this at the beginning of the year, which is the Bulls and kind of the downfall of the Bulls. So one, what do we think is going wrong? And two, what do we think about the Vucevic trade? And for those who don't know, before we continue, the Vucevic trade was essentially the pick that was Franz Wagner and then Wendell Carter Jr. and then an unprotected top 4 protected first this year. So essentially one excellent player, one good player, and potentially another excellent player for Vucevic.
So how much Chicago did you watch last year?
I watched quite a bit at the beginning because I was fascinated by the DeRozan experiment working because the Lakers didn't go in on DeRozan. And so I was watching Chicago. This year, I'll be honest, not as much.
So when DeRozan was on, and this is no disrespect to DeRozan, it's just the way the NBA is. When he was on the Raptors, there would be years where things would go great. There would be years when things would be whatever. Because when he balls out to the point where he is playing it like people are kind of MVP talking him, then teams have a really good chance to do well. If that's not that situation, then you have this kind of mid-range jumping team that might not be able to keep up with other teams, that kind of feels slow. He's got so much stuff to carry by the way he plays basketball. And also, you brought this up to me earlier, that I think the loss of Lonzo Ball is such a huge... When you have a point guard that moves the ball around like that and can dictate the offense for everybody and let them get in their spots and is really good. Lonzo Ball has been good since day one. I don't care if he has 7 points, 8 assists, and 8 rebounds. The way he plays basketball is so conducive to playing with stars because they must love playing with him. Like a Josh Giddey who just makes sure everybody gets involved no matter what.
100%.
So that team is going to have so many ups and downs if they keep this core for years.
Well, they re-signed Levine, so that part of the core is a little bit tough to move. They have DeRozan for, I think, 1 more year after this. The thing is, I think that they need to tank. I think that the decision needs to be made early. There is Bill Simmons from his podcast, shout out to Bill Simmons, brought up a great trade machine trade that I wish I had thought of, which was Vucevic and DeRozan to the Lakers for now you're going to hate this, for Russ, and both of those Lakers picks, but unprotected. And the reason I think that works is Lonzo, we just got the announcement yesterday. Lonzo's not any closer to coming back this year. So we probably want to pretty soon call this a lost Lonzo season. I think you'd probably agree with that, right? Like from that kind of injury. So
that sucks.
At that point, do you rather kind of be middling, or would you rather just have one bad year? And who knows? Let's say a lottery ball falls in your favor. You turn that thing around 1 year over. I mean, I don't want to be hyperbolic, but it could be the David Robinson, Tim Duncan effect.
Yeah, but it's really early. So like when you're in a season that's had a good when you're a team that had a good season last year, you're not sitting here this early in the season being like, "Oh, we're done. We're out."
Yeah,
You're going to
no,
believe
I agree.
that
I
you're
was
going to
thinking
do
more
it.
the management needs to kind of decide that because the players aren't gonna. I mean, if we go through the East, obviously they're not going to pass the Celtics, Bucks, Cavs in the standings, right? So they're kind of in that next tier of teams, but I don't know what's wrong with them. Like I would say the Heat are better. The Raptors, if they can get their health back, are better. The Nets kind of seem to have figured stuff out. The Hawks are better this year. And having mentioned the Sixers, you kind of run out of space, hey? Like
Yeah,
that's
but
where my
you lose
concern
you lose
is.
your starting point guard, who's the reason why everybody's in their spots. A lot of that changes,
Yeah.
and their years before was the problem is they didn't have the point guard. They were playing with Kobe White before
Yeah.
with Levine,
Which,
and it just
if we
wasn't
ever had a player opposite of Lonzo, it'd be Kobe White in terms of
Kobe
like
White.
dribble, 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 dribble. Like you got to get that ball out, man. Get it around.
Huck a three, but man, I can't. This just goes to show you what having a good point guard in the NBA, how much it matters,
Yeah.
how
No, I
important it
agree.
is. And defensively, you actually brought this up before too. How defensively he's so good. He's so long. He's
Oh,
such a good
it's
defensive player on the wing.
fantastic. Everything I want in a point guard when I have shooters around me is what Lonzo has. The thing that I loved about Lonzo is he went to the lab to fix his 3-point shot. Like he had a horrendous shooting season the previous year with the Lakers before he turned it around. And I love that about him. Like a guy knows what he knows and he knows what he doesn't know. And it's admirable that someone can fix that. So
Totally. And just he's like, oh, I have a detriment in my game. I'm still not going to shoot them astronomically. I'm not going to shoot them all the time, but I'm going to make sure that when I do hit this shot, it's going to go in because he's still a pure point guard. And oh my
let me
God,
tell
I've
you,
got such an
man,
affinity for pure point guards.
I love when players decide to shoot open shots as their primary shot because to me it's like that's what basketball is supposed to be. Like Lonzo is the guy who is dictating the play for everyone. Now we're putting him on a pedestal. I'm not saying if they had Lonzo they'd be a 18-4 team or anything. More so just like the lack of having that type of point guard has shown the major flaws in the Bulls team this year.
Totally. They don't get enough credit because their statistics might not show that everything that they're doing. You know, they get a lot of hockey assists, and a lot of smart plays that they do that a lot of people won't see. Opportune steals at the right moment.
Yeah,
Stuff like
no, I
that
agree.
matters.
I mean, it used to be Caruso and Lonzo were the ones point guards and shooting guards had to deal with. That's a mess. That's so frustrating when you're the opposing team having to deal with that. One guy is
Yeah.
like always all over you, and the other guy's length is just so annoying. Like I can't.
Yeah,
even
you just can't
imagine.
get set up properly.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's a good team to keep their eye on. I think the next 20 games will tell us everything we need to know. Right, we're 20 games in. This is kind of the put up or shut up, which is why I'm so scared for the Lakers. Like I wish they won a couple more games before because this month I'm not excited to watch Lakers basketball this month.
But like we said early on in the season, like early on, we're gonna have all these crazy storylines. Oh my God, this is going crazy, and things are starting to even out a little bit.
It regresses to the mean. You were right.
It regresses to the mean always. And then when we get to All-Star break, that's when we'll be like, okay. And then after All-Star break, a couple teams we didn't expect are gonna have a great second half, and some are gonna fall.
Couldn't agree more. So one team that we talked about at the beginning of the year out of intrigue, and now we're gonna get to see just how impactful this trade was, is the Minnesota Timberwolves. So we both know Karl Anthony Towns out 4 to 6 weeks. I'm not sure if you had him in fantasy, but my brother does, and he just he's got Harden. His two big buys were Harden and Cat. So I can't imagine it's just not
no,
ideal.
Paul. I'm so sorry.
So and the worst part is I told him to take Maxey for the handcuff. And Maxey's been out too, so he just can't catch a break. But what do we think now with Cat out, what the Wolves are going to look like? Because they're in a pretty tough spot right now, standings wise. They're mixed with the Mavs, Warriors, and Trailblazers, 10-10, 11-11, all in that 8-11 seed spot. So they're all fighting, but I don't know, Ant and Gobert, that's not a mix I love, if I'm being honest.
So this could be the wrongest take that I have. I'm pretty good so far. I got a pretty good percentage for stuff.
So
but
far,
right
you're
now,
doing good. Yeah.
I think this is going to be. This is a potential for a wrong take. Everybody, I think they're going to do really well because I think they had a lot of people on that team that needed the ball, and I think if you're getting rid of your best player, right?
Yeah.
But I think the fact that now you have Gobert at that center, they're playing that position. You might have who's Naz Reid might come in at power forward or whatever, and then you have these guys that are like, okay. Now it's the ball is ours for the game. We're not worried about making sure everybody gets touches, all the stuff, because everybody will get their touches. I think there'll be some sort of beautiful cohesion that happens with this team that happens a lot of time when somebody goes down and finally everybody's like, okay, now D'Angelo Russell's going to be like, finally, I can start shooting again.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I
stuff like
I
that.
mean, when you beat the Grizzlies and you got Jalen Noel getting you 24-5, uh, go. Can I ask something? How come Gobert has no post moves?
We
Every
talked
time
about
I
it.
watch him, it's just doesn't it piss you off a little bit?
I wish he did. It just doesn't. I think he's felt like he's never needed to, because that first game, man, he has 22 points sometimes, and they're just literally off of
Dunks,
these
they're dunks,
dunks and
lobs.
alley-oops.
Yeah, like it's
Yeah,
just I don't know. I'm not gonna rehash. You're right. We have talked about it, but it just God, it makes me
but
so
this could be
mad
like
because he's
this could
so
be like the
elite on the
counter. This could be like
yeah.
the counter to the point guard who only shoots open shots. Well, you have a center who does his job and only will score dunks and alley-oops. That
That's
might be a
fair.
benefit, especially on a team like this that has so many people. When I saw the Timberwolves, I'm like, this on paper looks awesome, but it looks like a mishmash.
Yeah, I think so. Yesterday, I think the reason the Wolves won, if you look at the stats, I didn't even pull up the stat sheet. I just watched the highlights from the game. But field goal percentage, the Wolves and Grizzlies were basically 46, 43, whatever. 3-pointers, the Grizzlies actually shot a better percentage by 4 points. And they shot 30 free throws to the Wolves 19. But check out this stat. And this might be a benefit to what you were saying with Gobert. Turnovers 24-12.
I didn't even know they won yesterday. I didn't even
Yeah,
see that.
they beat Memphis and they had they forced, I don't know how many of them were forced, but 24 turnovers by Memphis to 12
Dude,
by I mean,
I'm telling you, because
Gobert's you're
look
getting him
look
for
at
his
how many
D.
shots everybody's getting. D'Angelo Russell got to shoot 6. He's on my fantasy team, right? 15 points, 10 assists, because he's been you can feel it. He's been like, I can't shoot on this team.
Can we give
Anthony Edwards, 5
information
steals.
about your fantasy team, your league, your settings that you guys don't count field goal percentage? So that's
Oh yeah, we
why
do not.
you
Yeah,
guys love guys like Russ, D'Angelo
legit.
Russell. Mine counts it, so I look at those guys and I'm like, oh, I'm going 36% this week. Like,
Yeah, we've been doing this. We've been doing this league for 20 years, and then after I think year 15, we're like, you know what? Let's just have fun. Field goal percentage
I
makes
actually
it.
don't hate it. It really does. It opens up the floor for a lot of
Yeah,
guys in terms of like
totally. It just
drafting.
makes it fun. It just
Yeah,
takes away a lot of the annoyance.
yeah.
Like it makes fantasy really fun in a very like it's it take yeah. Field goal percentage is just so annoying.
Have you noticed this year that
Did you
because
see
this has
this?
been pissing? Well, what was that? Go ahead.
Did you see Rudy Gobert's stat line yesterday?
What was it 9 points, 1 rebound or something?
9 points, 1 rebound in 26 minutes. God,
Yeah,
that I've
I
never
don't know.
seen him do that ever. Has he ever?
Yeah, I've seen 9 points. I'll tell you that much.
Yes, yeah, yeah, for
That
sure.
one I've seen. But
4 for
what?
5, 1 for 2 from the free throw line.
Oh
Only
God.
1 block, 4 turnovers. Wow, and they still won.
Hey, have I ever talked to you about how Rudy Gobert has no post moves? Because it's really starting to bother
Oh
me.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's very strange.
yeah. No, what I was gonna say about fantasy, I'm not sure how many people play it, but I wish the NBA cared about it more. Have you noticed that like almost all the games seem to be on one day? Like there's very few days where you have like a split amount of games. Like I've been having so many guys play on my bench because I can't start everyone. It's just been really
100%. It's
frustrating.
annoying. Like today, there's nobody playing.
Yeah, and then tomorrow it's gonna be like I got to make decisions again.
You got to make choices now, and I'm
Oh,
losing.
no.
I'm foregoing this 15 rebound game from this guy because I need this guy for threes.
Yeah,
Like that's
it's
just
so
come on,
annoying.
y'all.
Anyways, that's a fantasy tangent for the 3 people who play fantasy basketball. This part of the podcast is for you, me, and Paul. That's
Yeah,
it.
legit. And Ty. Shout out to Ty Balding.
Oh, there you go, and Ty. So we got four fantasy basketball players. So, anyways, we said all this to say about the Minnesota Timberwolves that at 11-11, it is a very interesting point in their season, right? Because it can go one of two very different ways without Cat, and I don't know. I mean, what if they succeed? Does that open the door for a Cat trade? I don't want to get into that yet, but that's something to keep your eye on.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, if you're getting 9 points and 1 rebound from Rudy Gobert, the sky's the limit.
Legit. I just think that I think players are going to be a lot happier right now, and then when he comes back, they'll be like, damn.
I just don't think Anthony Edwards likes playing with Gobert. It's just the guy clogs the lane, and that's Edwards' game. You know, it's so frustrating if you're a slasher. And there's this guy in the post who no one is threatened by on offense. That's just standing there. It's like a tree you got to get through. Like he's fighting through ants. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, totally. But having the loss of one of your big men in there might open it up for him.
Yeah, no, that's what I mean. It could open it up quite. But the only thing with Cat was he really helped spread the floor because he can shoot the 3. But anyways, we'll kind of put that one on I'll put a pin in it and we'll get back to it. The last topic for today that we want to talk about is something that old school basketball players, basketball fans love to talk about. Oh, today's NBA, they're soft, but rules are being called in today's NBA, and I want to get your opinion on the one that we saw. The big one was the Steph travel, but we also saw it with Embiid. The changing of the pivot foot is being called this year. What do we think about that? Are we happy with that Steph outcome? Because Steve Kerr wasn't.
You know, I get kind of annoyed when they do all of a sudden this like, oh, we're calling this now because it's so inconsistent and it feels like it's only done on big network games. So everybody will talk about it. Be like, so we're doing it now. But then you'll watch a game where Minnesota is playing, Utah, and they won't call any of this stuff. And everybody's carrying and everybody's doing all this stuff and changing their pit, and nobody cares.
Yeah.
So if you're gonna do that stuff, it should be all year. It should be from game one, and it should be consistent. It shouldn't be all of a sudden 22 games in, be like, now we're calling the moving foot of the pivot foot.
Yeah.
That to me drives me nuts. Because in the middle of the game, you're like, how do I know? And you're just ruining momentum of the game.
If you train yourself to be doing the pivot foot change because it's never been called, then your mind is going to treat it as that you're breaking a rule when you're doing it. Right? I agree. I actually think there's a fix with the carry, which I think they should call every carry that involves the change of the direction of the ball. And I think as a basketball player, you know what I mean. Where if you palm the ball like this and then go back down to a straight down dribble, I don't really care that much. But when you palm it and then change the direction, does that make sense? Now you've given the defender. That's the one I want called. I don't care about the one where they're just like getting the play set. It doesn't change the actual play. You know what I mean? Yeah. So that one I think is an easier fix. But the pivot foot one, I think you just call it from day one and the players will figure it out quick. Like it'll just retrain them back to the old ways they used to play.
Totally. Because I actually don't see that one happening as often. You see some guys do it, but it's not like a blatant change of your pivot foot. Sometimes it's just in the speed of the moment that it kind of happens.
Yeah.
But the carry feasibly happens on every single play.
Yeah. But do you think we miss the pivot foot because of how often it happens? We might not even be paying attention to it because it does happen quick, but it is a big thing, like to change your pivot foot for the defender.
Totally. And I think like it for the defender for sure. But I don't think we miss it as often. I think NBA players have really great footwork. I do think it happens a lot that doesn't get called. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But in terms of the rules that we allow, that one, if they do enforce it, will get changed so fast because it's very easy for NBA players to not change their pivot foot. Mentally, like I play basketball recreationally. When I put my pivot foot down, it's like there's glue on the floor.
Yeah.
Mentally, like I
because
can't
players know, even if you don't see it, players know when they're defending it when a pivot foot changes. It's like instinctual. Like, hey, that foot was not the foot that you planted when you received the ball. But you can't do anything in an NBA game. In a pickup game, you can kind of have a discussion about it. But in an NBA game, you say anything to the ref, the guy's driving past you while he's carrying it. And now you're upset about a second thing.
You're like, what am I supposed to do here? This guy's first he's stopping, then I'm yelling at some guy, and now he's scoring a basket. Now I'm still yelling at you. Then I get a
with his knee in your chest, and you're taking the foul.
Oh my god.
Yeah, charges is another one.
Yeah, there's got to be some sort of consistency with all this stuff, and that's what annoys players, I think, the most is that all of a sudden it's like we're enforcing this rule, and we're gonna do it for 6 games, and then we're gonna call this. Jordan Poole still does that carry thing, and they don't call it anymore.
It's so weird.
Remember, for one game, they called it every time, and now all of a sudden it's like, nah, he's good.
Yeah, I think Tim Donaghy was actually reffing that game. They brought him. They needed an emergency ref, and he just came in to help out. So, sometimes when you're in town, he's got to cover. So I agree with you that the rules. I'm not a big you need to follow the rules to a T. I actually like when they adjust on the fly. I don't mind if they change mid-season, but whatever point you change, I want you to change it from that point on. It doesn't need to be game one, day one, but if you see a problem, fix it and go from there. Same with the NFL with the catch rule. There was a year where we didn't know what a catch was. And it's so frustrating.
The most annoying year of football I've ever watched. When somebody make a beautiful catch and they're like, no, there was a flea on the ground. I don't know.
Yeah. And the ball moved actually. If you slow it down to 1.5 frames per second, you can see the ball adjust, and that's not a catch.
He didn't make a football move before I was like, shut up with your football move.
What is a football? A 1960 football move looks a lot different than a 2022 football move.
You're playing football right now. Everything that you're doing is football.
You are literally footballing at all times.
You are literally making football moves while you're moving on the football field. That's football.
So basically, what we're saying is we want every carry called. We want every charge called. We want everything. No, I think the carry one is the one that bothers me the most because, like you said, it is so randomly called. There's no rhyme or reason to how they call it.
It's all of a sudden they're like, it's sometimes it's annoying because you're like, is this crap rigged? And you don't want to think that in the NBA. That's not fun to think about, but it's like, why are you destroying this person's momentum for a carry at this moment? And you can't help but think about Tim Donaghy, all this stuff. They have enough publicity issues as it is.
Couldn't agree
make
more,
us question this.
The one thing with NBA, with any sports being rigged, the way I see it is if you don't bet on it, then you're just watching high level drama TV and you don't have to worry about it being rigged. Because if it is or isn't, as long as the script's good, I'm happy.
No question. We like chaos. I'm just here for the
drama. We call
drama.
them seasons, Sachin. There's a reason we call them seasons. What season are we on?
My favorite meme was like, there's some guy who just apparently is like, hey, I just started the NBA. When does LeBron show up? And they show up like showing like the ABA or something. And he's like started watching the NBA from the beginning.
So he's got about 8 years before LeBron comes.
He's got a while.
Yeah, 8 seasons. Yeah, that's so funny. But anyways, this is more of like a minor issue, but it's just something that I hope moving forward they can kind of adjust on the fly.
Yeah.
So, you know me. I can't be gone for 10 days without coming up with some games, some sort of fun little thing for us to do. This one, at least I gave you time to prep. I gave you some Batman time, and I think this is a fun one. So we all love watching the NBA in the States, but it's a worldwide game. We can all agree they've found talents from all over the world. Still haven't really captured India yet. We're waiting on that one, but this game we're gonna do is a fun one. It's drafting your all-world team, so no American players, but there's 2 caveats. One, you cannot draft a player from a country that has already been drafted. So you can't have two Argentinians, and it's all current players, by the way. And the second caveat is you are building your NBA starting 5. And for fun, why don't we say you can have 1 off the bench? So you're starting 5 and 1 off the bench. You are not building your NBA All-Star team. So think about positions, think about who can have the best starting 5 using the world, not using the States.
I love it.
The only other question I'd have for you, and if you want to, yes, otherwise no. Do you want to have people who have announced dual citizenship, or do you want to eliminate them? So no ties to the States at all, other than.
I think we eliminate them.
All right, Karl-Anthony Towns, I think you are gone.
Yeah, I like this game. I wish I prepared more so I knew everybody's country. So you correct me. You need to correct me on the fly if I'm wrong, and I'll have to make adjustments.
I'll fix as we go. Don't worry. But
I know you are rule king. I know you are.
I live for the rules. I enjoy coming up with the rules more than I enjoy coming up with the game. So
yes.
All right, I'm just gonna delete Karl-Anthony Towns. Sorry, Dominican Republic.
I do love these drafts. These drafts are so much fun.
Last draft, you were very kind and you let me go first. So at least if you go first here, you can't screw up a double pick because no one's been picked yet. So for the country.
That's a very good point. And you know what, Justin? Since you were so kind and not picking my guy Ray Allen first last time, I'm not going to pick your guy first, and I'm going to let you get him.
Who do you think my guy that I want first is? Because I might surprise you.
Oh, it's not Luka.
I'm not saying yes or no to that.
I'm just saying I assumed you wanted Luka.
I mean, I think we both know who you're going to take, right? This is the easiest one. Yeah,
everybody's got to know.
Go ahead.
100%. I think it has to be this man. My MVP of the league this year, RJ. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh my God. I was about to say, that's a second round pick, right? That can't be the
Giannis Antetokounmpo. And I'm so sorry that you can't draft every Antetokounmpo like you like to draft all your Efrons, so you can't make an entire team out of Antetokounmpos. But for my first pick, it has to be Giannis Antetokounmpo. I want him driving down the lane and battling through everybody.
Yeah, no, that's to me, that's I mean, I shouldn't say obvious first pick, but that is that's about as good of a first pick as you can have I'm actually not taking Luka. And
you're taking him. Oh, you're taking Jokic.
I'm taking my boy Nikola Jokic. I love everything about his game, and I think what he does at the center position, especially now that his defense has improved, which I love that like he had like one flaw in his game, literally one flaw, and he like figured it out, right? The fact that he is so good at moving the ball, I thought you might consider taking him because of the ball sharing ability. Like he is not a ball stopper, but I mean, if you didn't take Giannis, we would have had a problem. So yeah, I'm going to take Jokic.
Because I did think about that, but if I picked Giannis and you didn't pick Luka, that would mean that I would get Giannis.
I get that. I understand the problem with but I think the flaw in in not taking Jokic is that if you had Giannis Jokic, you would have the best 4-5 combo. I couldn't compete with that. Like, you know what I mean? So I just didn't
100%.
want that to happen. So I think I can build around a Jokic at the 5 type of team. So
No, let's be clear. All three of these guys are a first pick. There is no
100%.
one clear front runner over the other ones. In my mind, it's like there's no like any of these guys is a great pick. Jokic is an absolute, like the way what he did with that Denver team last year. Like they're believe it.
That Denver team, quote unquote team. I don't know who
Quote
those
team,
guys were.
yeah.
I think he got him at the
Exactly.
Y. I think you were supposed to play, but you were busy that day. Like,
Damn, I would have at least had 6 points.
yeah, just open threes, right in the corner.
Open threes. Yeah.
All right, so you're on the board here. I'm not gonna make any assumptions. You tell me what you want to go with here.
Luka Doncic.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
got
I
to
get
be
it.
Luka. I gave you an open pass for the first one just in case you wanted to grab your guy, but I can't skip out on him twice. That would be stupid.
I'm upset that I don't have him, but I get it, and that's okay.
Yeah.
So I kind of wanted to go in a very different direction. So I'm trying to build a 5-man team that beats your 5-man team, right?
Yes.
That's the plan. So I kind of think it could be fun putting Jokic at the 4 and spotting Embiid at the 5. And now
Very
Giannis's
smart.
lane is going to be very difficult, right?
Yeah.
So
100%.
I think if I had to, now it does limit me in my later choices. That's the one problem with this double pick is
Yeah.
I can't really take a big unless it's coming off the bench, right? But yeah, I think I'm going to go with Joel Embiid.
I love it. That's a big ass team. I very much like it. Yeah.
Emphasis on the ass for Jokic. You know what I mean?
No question. No question.
Jokic is good for big boys. We feel better about ourselves watching Jokic, you know?
Yeah, I get it. He can do everything. He can move it around. Yeah, it just shows you can have burgers and live your best life and still be in the NBA.
Be the best in the NBA. So
Legit.
I mean, the only thing with Embiid, the thing that would worry me is I feel he can sometimes get lost in games where he doesn't touch the ball enough when you're building these like all-star style teams. So my goal with this is, I'm going to keep saying it, is to build a starting 5. Is
I love
not
it.
to build a all-star team. You know what I mean?
It is an absolute like starting 5. You're trying to build into something, and I think that's you're trying to beat my team, and you need 1 through 5.
Yeah. So all right, that's so countries off the board: Slovenia, Serbia, Greece, and Cameroon.
Okay.
So no Siakam, not available.
He's gone.
Yeah, gone.
He's gone.
He's gone.
Yeah.
That's it.
He's gone. So for
So
my third pick,
your third pick.
ladies and gentlemen, I think you think he's Canadian. Shea Gilgeous Alexander.
Oh no, that was gonna be my next pick. No, I thought you wouldn't take him because you would want a big.
I know. I don't. I'm going small ball against your big slow ass team.
Oh,
We're gonna run. We're gonna run down the lane, and we are gonna take you out.
my team is so
This team
slow.
is so fast,
Oh,
so
God.
powerful. Like this team is just gonna run you down, and I love it. Long passes, outlets, and man, threes, buckets, speed. I love watching this team play already. Luka, Giannis, and Shea so far. Oh,
Yo,
that might be
was
one of the most
upsetting.
exciting teams.
That was really upsetting.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, taking Shea is actually doubly frustrating because you took Canada off the board. And not that I don't like, it's not about being Canadian. It's more about the amount of options Canada has in a draft like this. It's upsetting to lose the whole country. But this is where it's going to get interesting because I actually think the perfect type of player for me to take here, and you're going to think I'm crazy, is OG Anunoby.
I do think you're crazy.
I'll tell you why. So OG to me can play the 3 perfectly. He's a long, excellent defender. He runs the floor so he can keep up with your guys because I need someone who can keep up. And he hits knockdown open shots, and that's what I need. I need someone who's not going to be upset not getting the ball in their hands. OG is not going to get very many touches, but he hits open shots and we're assuming health in this, as we do with all our drafts. Like Troy Bolton had to be healthy for me to take him. But with OG,
oh my God.
I think I'm getting, and I might be taking him a little early, but I just want to get him because you just took Shea from me, and now I need some length and unselfishness on the team.
Beautiful.
So I got.
Well, now
OG.
I think now for my next pick, I think an extremely underrated international player that a lot of people don't talk about. He's on my fantasy team. He does everything every night. rebounds, assists. He can score. He can block. Domantas, the son of Arvydas Sabonis.
Yeah.
And
I'll be
do
honest,
everything guy that will facilitate this team that I have right now. Like we're talking about with OG, that he doesn't need to do everything, but he will do everything just by existing.
Yeah.
I think Domantas is so great. And I did love Arvydas Sabonis. I loved him on that Portland team so much. Every time he would score buckets, me and my cousin Vivek and Rish would just go, Arvydas Sabonis.
Oh, boy. Yeah. No, it's a good pick. And the only, the problem with me is I didn't want to play Sabonis at the 3. Like, I felt like that does not suit his style.
Yeah, I know you took Embiid thinking you were hooping me for my centers and power forwards.
Well, I knew Sabonis was on the board. I just don't know what to do because if I take Sabonis, then then you go Luka, Giannis, and Embiid, and I can't win any games if you go that way. It's
You're
0%.
Yeah.
Like I had to. You got to give up Sabonis. Now, good thing about you having Sabonis for me is defensively he's fine, but it does put a lot more pressure on Giannis when you have Jokic and Embiid to compete. So that's kind of good for me, but the problem with Sabonis is he is a very excellent, unselfish player, and it's like you're getting a Jokic light. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think here I'm gonna go a little bit off the board, but it's someone who I think I can stick at small forward and move OG to the 2. He is a younger player. We talked about him earlier in the podcast. He's from Germany. I'm gonna take Franz Wagner here. He plays multiple positions. He's super unselfish. Takes good shots. That's my favorite type of player. He takes good shots. So I think Franz Wagner really gives me options to move around my lineup a bit. So that's he is definitely not the 8th best player currently in terms of outside of the US, but I think for building a team, he's excellent.
Yeah, I think that's wasn't gonna be my pick, but I know you love Franz Wagner. And for the future of your team, I think it might be a good idea. But I mean, I think there's a lot of people on the board, Jess. There's
aren't you supposed to take Vucevic here because that's what the Bulls did?
No, I mean, I think I've got my scoring covered. I think I've got my passing covered. I think I got to go defensively. I'm so upset that he had 1 rebound yesterday, so this is going to be terrible.
Oh God.
Yeah. But I think I need a big man. I just need a big man at center who doesn't need the ball, who's going to do everything else that this team doesn't necessarily need to do on the offensive end. And pick me a Rudy Gobert.
Okay, so I actually had Gobert on my list of guys I will not take unless they're my 6th man. I specifically was I don't want Gobert only because I worry about clogging the lane. So I'm happy that you took Gobert.
Yeah,
and I know you like him. You just told me all the reasons.
I
to like
always,
him, right?
when you see NBA centers in this league, you don't know what they do for a team until because it doesn't always show up everywhere. And when I always think about the Tyson Chandlers or back in the day the DeAndre Jordans, these guys that exist on teams that a lot of people don't talk about, but when they go there, they change the entire team.
I like I said, I could be 100% wrong. My thought process was the bigs that I have to choose from are so individually good if the lane is cleared that I was thinking that Gobert might kind of hinder. But what he does for Giannis is you have someone guarding Embiid.
Yeah,
you move everyone down a slot. And now on the defensive end, my guys have to deal with Gobert. Luckily, I have Jokic. If you have Gobert and I don't take Jokic, now I think I have a problem, a big problem, because now it's I don't know where I'm going if my big is eliminated. But now it's an interesting pick. It's a game I would want to watch. That's for sure.
For sure.
So all right, Gobert. So was that your 5th pick?
That was my 5th pick.
That was your 5th pick. So just to recap before I make my final pick. We got Luka at the 1 for Sachin. We got I guess you'd have to say, who's your 2?
Shea.
Oh, Shea. Yeah, sorry, I missed Shea. So Shea and Luka at the 1, 2, whatever you want to go there. Then you would go Sabonis, I'm guessing, at the 3 with Giannis at the 4.
I'm putting Giannis at the 3 actually.
Giannis at the 3, okay, and then Sabonis at the 4, and then obviously Gobert at the 5. So that's interesting because the fact that you can put Giannis at the 3. Obviously, on defense, my guys can switch, but that is a very interesting lineup. It gives me a lot to think about on this last pick, actually, because I don't have a point guard yet. I'm not sure if you noticed, but I don't have a point guard. This is where
there's a really good one out there.
So, okay, my pick is locked in. I want to know who you think I'm going to take because you've been wrong twice. So I'm curious how well Sachin knows me.
I don't know if I know who's it going to be.
Who's the point guard you would take in this spot?
Josh Giddey.
Yeah, see, I can't because he's Australian, right?
Yeah.
And
You're taking Ben Simmons?
I'm taking
Get
Ben
out.
Simmons. I'm taking Ben Simmons. That's right.
I love how none of us we were like avoiding that topic like crazy. For some reason in my mind, I was like, I can't believe Ben Simmons isn't going to be on my team.
Yeah,
but
no, he's on a team, sir. He is on my team. And
you know
I'll
what?
tell you, go ahead.
No, you go. It's your pick. Go ahead.
I'll tell you why. It's simply drafting to try and beat what I see you have going on. Now, Ben Simmons against Luka, we watched earlier this year. Luka cooked him, so I don't think it's going to help me that much there. But man, the length, like once I heard you say I'm putting Giannis at the 3, my brain was like, all right, this is length on length on length. I need someone who is happy to give up the ball. The only problem on my team is I don't have a lot of shooting. It's kind of a inside the paint type of team, which concerns me a bit. But yeah, I'm gonna go with Simmons just to try and defend your team. And
if he plays the way he played before the injury, that's not a bad Simmons.
I'll take that. 100%.
He's coming up. He's coming back. You know, I mean, he doesn't play a brand of basketball people really like, but if we start considering him more of a Draymond Green type of player, which I think is what we should be doing in the first place, because we try to think of him as this. I don't know why we think of him as this like prolific, crazy, because he used to be really great, but he was always like a Draymond Green type of guy. He would do everything.
Yeah, I think it was just his scoring has gone, right? Like Simmons used to be able to get you on a regular basis like 17 to 20, and now it just doesn't feel like he has that in his game. I really think that's the major flaw in.
But he's been showing that these last couple games, like he's been showing glimpses of that again.
Oh, 100%. I'm not drafting him if I didn't see him play the way he played the last couple of games. I just didn't want to take Giddey in a. It's like you have 9 developed like excellent players, and I got to bring in this rookie to play. I just felt like he wouldn't be ready for that moment, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
But
well, he's not a rookie anymore. I've had him on my fantasy. The reason I like Giddey so much, I've had him on my fantasy league last 3 years, and so like he will have games. He's always in the game doing something. So he'll have.
I think Giddey was a rookie or a second year.
He just feels like
Oh man, I'm so dumb.
This might be his second year actually.
I thought he was a second year guy for some.
Might be a second. I've had him for 2 years, but every game, Jess, he either has like 12 points, 13 rebounds, 4 assists, or he's got 12 points, 8 rebounds, 9 assists. He's always like so involved in everything that's happening.
Yeah,
and you watch him out there, he's just one of those glue guys.
He is someone I really do like. I think the only concern I have with if I had Giddey would be, I don't think he provides what my team needs because Jokic is a ball distributor. Whereas like Ben is the same in terms of he can distribute the ball, but Ben defensively is just so much more elite, right?
Yeah, 100%.
So
defensively is what you're doing for Ben Simmons right now.
I mean, the only player from OKC that I would consider that wasn't Shea would be Pokuševski, because I would just love to see all 18 pounds of him out there taking on Giannis.
I know you love Poku.
I'm a Poku believer, baby. Let's go. So, okay, you get one more player. Who you got coming off the bench? What do you need to come off the bench?
In case the lane is too clogged on my team and Rudy Gobert is doing too much defensively in terms of not enough offensively, and I need somebody to stretch the floor or do something else in the team, on a team that can move the ball, team that can kind of shoot, team that can kind of run the ball, somebody more athletic, but who can take the place of Rudy Gobert. Somebody who's having a little bit of a renaissance this year. He's 7'3", can shoot the 3. He has played with Luka Doncic before. Kristaps Porzingis.
Oh, that's not bad. I like that pick. He is having a renaissance.
I can fit him in almost anywhere on this team, right? On the top 3, I can put him wherever within those 3 guys if something's not working, and I can slot everybody around. Luka's always going to be at the 1. Shea's always going to be at the 2. And those 3 guys up top, those 4 guys up top, we can move those guys around as need be. And he's having an unbelievable year. He had 27 and 19 last night.
No, he's playing really well, but I think the concern is he didn't look like this with Luka. So you kind of rekindling that?
Well, he didn't look like that on Dallas.
Yeah.
I think when we have this team that's going to be running a lot and moving around, I think he's going to be like, he's not going to be this Kristaps because we're going to have Giannis on there too. But I think but him coming off the bench, maybe Luka, they can interchange each other, you know?
I think him coming off the bench for this type of team is really, really excellent because he can give you big minutes. And the fact that my team is so long, you kind of want to have length coming off the bench probably. And the other problem for me is you have Luka and you have Shea, right? So you always have an elite point guard running your offense, regardless of what lineups you're running. So that's a really good pick. I'm actually going to pick someone in a very, very similar vein who I'm shocked you didn't pick because he is from your new favorite team. And that, of course, is Lauri Markkanen
Lauri Markkanen.
Lauri Markkanen, baby.
Oh, wow. Legendary.
Back up the brink truck. This guy deserves to get paid. I'm taking Lauri Markkanen. He is honestly, him and Porzingis are both kind of having like a renaissance year. The only difference between Markkanen and Porzingis for me is I think Markkanen is a little bit better at creating his own offense, and then on the defensive end not being as torched, because the problem with Porzingis sometimes is he can get blown by because he's got those long legs, but he doesn't move fast. But I would take either. Like it's really just a crapshoot between the two in my mind.
Yeah, I think Lauri. I mean, he's having a year. I just wonder if this is like a guy who's on a team that didn't really have anybody, all of a sudden having the ball in his hand a lot, which we've seen before, and then being forced to do something because where's the ball going to go in a tank team? So I don't know. We don't know who Lauri Markkanen is yet. I'm not saying he's not good. I've watched him play. He's phenomenal. He's crushing it.
Yeah.
But I still wonder if we truly know yet who Lauri Markkanen is.
I don't think we 100% do. I'm saying I'm just happy to see that when he got an opportunity, he more than seized it. And the other thing with the Jazz that I love is they are a Sachin team. I have to admit, I've watched quite a bit of Jazz games lately. The ball movement, they're always just trying to get the open shot. I mean, Clarkson can kind of get in his own bag a bit. But that's Jordan Clarkson. But that team is just trying to find the best shot available every possession. It's fun to watch. I'm telling
you, in the NBA, if you have the right coach that teaches your players that brand of basketball, you have a legitimate shot in the NBA here, because the way teams play defense is a lot of times pretty lazy. So if you move the ball around, there's going to be a time where somebody's like, I'm tired of running, and get an open shot, but teams love when guys hold the ball. It lets them all just chill. And plus, moving the ball over the course of the game, come fourth quarter, that other team's tired. Like, sure, 100%. They all have great endurance, but your legs do lose some percentage of strength, and by the end of it, it's just not the same. But if a team holds the ball, that's why we always see Dallas games so close in the end still, because they're always with each other, and Luka's carrying you to the end, but the other team is still in there. But if a team goes on a run and they move in the ball and they just kind of demoralize you, love that brand of basketball.
I agree, and I'm not gonna you're not gonna hear me admit that you can't hold the ball and win the championship in that type of way yet. Like I'm not there that only ball movement wins, but I will say it's getting more and more like you need to be uber elite at being the ball stopper for it to win. And it used to be that like it would be 5 of the best 8 teams had a ball stopper, and I don't think that works for very many players. I think Luka is one of the exceptions to that rule where it can work.
Yeah,
but I agree with you. Like that's where the NBA is going, but the teams know that. I mean, teams aren't building, they're not looking for the ball stopper point guards anymore. You know what I mean? Like the dribble point guard is a dying breed.
Totally. And it's still hard to play that brand of basketball for that long. You need the right you almost need guys that are hungry, that want to move the ball around and play that, because it's an unselfish brand of basketball, and you might not get all your stats and all this stuff all the time. You might not be getting your 25 a night, because sometimes it's this person's night, sometimes it's this person's night,
100%. It's a brand of like, you're not getting yours every night. And the issue with younger players, and I think it's going to be an issue forever, is it's very hard to convince someone who hasn't been paid yet to not go and get theirs. And I don't even blame them. You know what I mean?
Go get it. Yeah.
You got to secure that bag. But the crazy thing is, I feel like awareness, if they knew how much teams value ball movement nowadays, they would get that bag without having to put up those audacious numbers.
Yeah. And if you're good enough, you will put up those numbers in that offense.
100%.
It's a thing, because you will be open and you will know those right movements and you will know those right moves. And it's funny how like people think they call it an unselfish offense, but the best players always do get their points and assists and rebounds all the time.
100%. So let's go through our teams one last time here, just to I'm just getting the positions ready. This is shooting guard, and then we got small forward, and then my point guard. Oh my God, my team's good. I'm not even upset. Okay,
you're just sad. You're sad about Shea. I know you are.
Shea was upsetting, because I did not think you were going to take him as early as you did, and it really threw me off. So for Sachin's team, I hate you so much. I should have put in a rule that we can each take one Canadian.
You're just making rules now, so I just keep making these rules so I can get who I want.
Anyway,
you can't get Kyrie. He's from America.
You couldn't even give me Jamal Murray. I would have taken hobbled Murray. God, so sad. So Sachin's team at point guard, we got Luka. At shooting guard, we got Shea. Interchange those how you like. Small forward, we got Giannis from Greece. For his power forward, he's putting Sabonis there. And then center, he's clogging the lanes up with the French man himself, Rudy Gobert, with Porzingis coming off the bench on the first TV timeout to replace Gobert. And then for my team, we've got Ben Simmons, at point guard. Shooting guard, I'm putting OG Anunoby. Small forward, I'm playing Franz Wagner from Germany. At power forward, the heart and soul of my team, Nikola Jokic from Serbia. And then the Cameroon king himself, Joel Embiid, is going to be in the lanes for me and hitting some threes when I need them, with my man, Lauri Markkanen from Finland, coming off the bench. So who
Beautiful. I can't
won
wait to
this
watch
draft?
that. I can't wait to watch that game.
I'll tell you, I think your team in a 7-game series might have the edge, but in a 1-game winner takes all, I'm still not loving my chances. But no, I think I have a decent team.
Because your team would rally behind Zac Efron in the audience and
100%.
know that they have to do it for him.
I'm going to tell you right now, if you've watched High School Musical 3, the rally is when Zach sees Vanessa. Gabriella actually is her name, and his name's Troy. But anyways, I'm not going to get into that. That's for a different, better podcast later.
I'm not going to watch it.
You don't deserve to watch it, is what I was going to say.
I don't deserve to watch it. I'll agree.
This has been a lot of fun. I'm glad we're back. This was a fun game that I have so many game ideas. I don't even want to get into how many more of these I want to do.
Yes, I love your games.
The games are the best. So, I'm so happy we're back. Thank you for doing this. And anything you want to shout out before we head out?
Specifically, I just think I want to, Justin, hit my theme song.
Make sure you subscribe on all the platforms.
These two brown guys love basketball. Brown guys love basketball. Who doesn't love basketball? So let's talk basketball. I said, let's talk basketball.